Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving, always saying yes, and putting everyone else's needs before your own? It's almost like you're expected to be available, to help, to listen, to solve problems, no matter how tired or overwhelmed you feel. And yet, when you need support, when you need someone to step up for you, suddenly, people aren't as eager to return the favor. It's frustrating, isn't it? You've spent a lifetime working hard, caring for others, and being dependable. But as time goes on, you start to realize something important. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your kindness, your energy, or your time. That's what we're going to talk about today. The 5 things you should never feel obligated to do for anyone. These are the things that drain you, that take away your peace, and that you absolutely have the right to say no to without feeling guilty. Now, before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from? Comment below and share your city. I always enjoy hearing from you. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tips like these. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. Alright, let's get into it. 1. Lending money without a valid reason. Let's be honest. Money is a tricky subject, especially when it comes to friends and family. You've worked hard your entire life, made sacrifices, and built a sense of financial security. That security is not just about numbers in a bank account. It's about peace of mind, about knowing you won't have to struggle in your later years. And yet, some people assume that because you're financially stable, you should be willing to help them whenever they ask. At first, it might seem harmless. A small loan here, a little help there. But what happens when it becomes a pattern? When certain people only reach out when they need something? When they don't pay you back, or worse, don't even acknowledge the help you've given them? Suddenly, what started as an act of kindness turns into frustration, disappointment, and even resentment. Here's the reality. Lending money is rarely just a financial transaction. It's an emotional one. If someone doesn't pay you back, it's not just about the dollars lost. It's about trust. It's about respect. And once that trust is broken, it's hard to repair. Now, I'm not saying you should never help anyone. There's nothing wrong with supporting someone in a true emergency, if you genuinely want to and can afford it without any stress. But if someone is repeatedly asking for money, if they never explain why or don't seem to be making responsible financial choices, then it's time to ask yourself, is this my responsibility? You don't have to feel guilty for saying no. You don't owe anyone an explanation. A simple, firm response like, I'm not in a position to lend money right now, is enough. No need to justify, no need to argue. Just stand your ground. Your financial security is for you. It's for your comfort, your needs, and your future. You've spent decades building a stable life. You don't have to risk it to bail someone else out of their bad decisions. And the people who truly care about you, they'll respect that. 2. Getting involved in other people's conflicts. How many times have you been dragged into a situation that had nothing to do with you? Maybe a friend called, venting about an argument they had and expecting you to take their side. Maybe a family member wanted you to talk some sense into someone else. Or maybe you found yourself stuck in the middle of a fight between 2 people, trying to keep the peace, even when it was exhausting. It might seem harmless at first, just a conversation, just a little advice. But before you know it, you're emotionally invested in a problem that isn't even yours. Their stress becomes your stress. Their anger becomes your anger. And suddenly, you're losing sleep over a situation that you never should have been involved in to begin with. The problem with stepping into other people's conflicts is that it rarely ends well. Even if you try to help, someone is always going to feel hurt, misunderstood, or betrayed. And worst of all, the moment things settle down, the people who dragged you into their problems might move on like nothing ever happened, while you're left feeling drained and resentful. Here's the hard truth. You are not responsible for fixing other people's relationships. You are not a referee, a therapist, or a crisis negotiator. You have your own peace to protect, and that means learning to step back and let people handle their own issues. So, what do you do when someone tries to pull you into their drama? You set boundaries. Firm, clear, and unapologetic. If someone tries to get you to take sides, you can say, I care about both of you, and I don't want to be in the middle of this. If someone wants you to fix their problems, try. I trust that you'll figure this out, but I can't get involved. And if someone keeps trying to make their problems your problems, You have every right to step away. Your peace is not a prize to be handed out to whoever yells the loudest. You've spent years learning what truly matters in life, and getting caught up in other people's messes isn't one of them. So let them handle their own conflicts. You've earned the right to enjoy your peace. 3. Agreeing even when you know someone is wrong. Have you ever found yourself nodding along to a conversation, even when you knew deep down that what the other person was saying was completely wrong? Maybe they were making a bad decision, gossiping about someone unfairly, or insisting on something that just wasn't true. And yet, instead of speaking up, you stayed silent, or worse, agreed, just to avoid an argument. It's easy to do. After all, who wants conflict? Who wants to be the one to correct someone, especially if they might take it the wrong way? You don't want to hurt feelings, and you certainly don't want to create tension. So, you stay quiet, even when everything inside you is telling you to say something. But here's the problem. Agreeing just to keep the peace isn't real peace. It's just avoidance. And over time, it can start to eat away at you. Because every time you agree with something you don't believe in, you're pushing your own voice down. You're telling yourself that your opinion doesn't matter, that it's easier to go along with others than to stand firm in what you know is right. And eventually, that starts to feel exhausting. Because deep down, you know you're not being true to yourself. Now, I'm not saying you need to argue with everyone who has a different opinion. That's not the point. The point is knowing when it's important to stand your ground. If someone is making a bad decision and looking to you for approval, you don't have to pretend to agree. If a friend or family member is saying something untrue or unfair, you don't have to nod along. You can speak up, gently but firmly. I see things differently. I understand where you're coming from, but I have a different perspective. I respect your opinion, but I have to be honest. I don't agree with that. You don't have to be rude, and you don't have to turn it into a fight. But you do have to respect yourself enough to be honest. Because at this stage in life, you've earned the right to stand in your truth. You've lived, you've learned, and your perspective is valuable. You don't have to agree just to make others comfortable. Your voice matters, too. 4. Forgetting your limits and always doing more. Some people just don't seem to understand when enough is enough. They keep asking for favors, assuming you'll always say yes. It could be family members expecting you to babysit, neighbors asking for help with their errands, or friends who assume you'll always be there to listen to their problems, no matter how drained you feel. At first, it feels good to help. You want to be there for people. You want to feel useful, to know that your time and energy are making a difference. But over time, that constant giving starts to take a toll. Because here's the thing. You are not an unlimited resource. You have your own needs, your own limits, and your own life to take care of. And if you keep pushing yourself past those limits just to keep others happy, you'll end up exhausted, frustrated, and maybe even resentful. The truth is, some people will keep taking as long as you keep giving. Not necessarily because they mean to take advantage of you, but because they're used to you always being available. And if you don't set boundaries, they'll never stop asking. So, what can you do? You have to learn to say no, and mean it. I'd love to help, but I just don't have the energy right now. I've done a lot lately, and I really need to take some time for myself. I can't take that on, but I hope you find the help you need. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to feel guilty. Saying no isn't being selfish, it's self-preservation. Because if you keep running yourself into the ground, always putting others first, who's going to take care of you? Who's going to make sure you have time to rest, to enjoy life, to focus on what makes you happy? You've spent years looking out for others. Now it's time to look out for yourself. You deserve rest. You deserve peace. And you don't have to do everything for everyone to prove your worth. You've already done enough. 5. Keeping the door open for people who only come when they need something. You know the type. The ones who disappear when everything is going well for them, but suddenly reappear the moment they need something from you. Maybe it's an old friend who only calls when they're struggling, a family member who ignores you for months but expects your support when they're in trouble, or someone who treats your kindness like a convenience, something to use when it benefits them. At first, you might convince yourself to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've been busy. Maybe they're going through a rough time. But then it happens again and again, and you start to see the pattern. They don't value you, they just value what you can do for them. And the worst part? Every time you let them back in without holding them accountable, You're silently telling them that their behavior is okay, that they can come and go as they please, and you'll always be there, waiting. But ask yourself this. If you never reached out to them first, how often would you actually hear from them? If the answer is only when they need something, then it's time to rethink the relationship. Because you are not a backup plan. You are not a last resort. Your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are not things that people should get to take for granted. And if someone isn't willing to be there for you in the good times, they don't deserve to come running to you in the bad times. That doesn't mean you have to be cruel. You don't have to hold on to bitterness or resentment. But you do have to protect yourself. You do have to set boundaries. I can't keep being here only when it's convenient for you. I need relationships that are mutual, not one-sided. I'm not available to help this time. And if they don't respect that, if they disappear again until the next time they need something, let them go. Close the door. Not in anger, but in self-respect. Because you deserve relationships that are built on love, care, and mutual respect. Not ones where you're just being used. The people who truly value you will show up for you, not just when they need something, but because they genuinely care. And when you stop wasting your energy on people who don't deserve it, you'll have more space for the ones who do. You deserve that. You always have. So, what have we learned today? We've talked about 5 things you should never feel obligated to do for anyone. Lending money without a valid reason, getting involved in other people's conflicts, agreeing when you know someone is wrong, always doing more than you should, and keeping the door open for people who only come around when they need something. You have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. And the people who truly care about you will respect that. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these boundaries do you struggle with the most? Is it saying no to lending money? Avoiding other people's conflicts? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one of them, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this video spoke to you, if it helped you in any way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Because you deserve to live a life that is peaceful, fulfilling, and free from unnecessary stress. Thank you for watching, and remember, your well-being matters. You matter. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.